My colleague Yonki at Home Theater Secrets, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If not, I apologize. But he did a review of the Passive 50 already. So this is more like a companion video to that review already. If you want to read his review and the in-depthness of it, you can see that on Home Theater Secrets, and hopefully they'll post a link below this video. But also selfishly, this was a chance for me to hear these speakers for myself. The first time I heard these speakers, and the only time I heard them, was at Toronto Audiofest 2022. It was in the NAD PSB room, and it was one of the only rooms where they played music that I recognized. They were actually playing London Grammar through these speakers via the NAD 3050 LE amplifier that they just released. I thought it sounded incredible. It was really, really big, expansive, but you know, at an audio show, it's not the most ideal setup. I mean, it's in a big convention center. And I was curious to get these at home just to hear them for myself. So this speaker isn't marketed as a special edition speaker. This is their 50th anniversary speaker, and they've denoted that on the speaker grill itself, but they're selling this just normally. And I'm very happy that they're doing that because A, I like it, and B, it looks really cool. The Passive 50 is kind of in between the normal bookshelf and floor standing speakers. It's not overly big and it's not overly small. It's taller than a bookshelf speaker, but not tall enough to be like a proper floor standing setup by itself. The speakers are supplied with custom short stands that raise them off the floor and give you a proper listening setup. They also look pretty cool, if maybe a little like a Star Wars droid or something. The stands come unassembled, but putting them together is pretty easy. Spikes or rubber feet are supplied and can be added to the bottom however you want. The speaker sits slightly upward and points up and into the room. This allows the tweeter of the speaker to fire about ear height from the typical seating position, 7 to 9 feet, which is how I had them set up in our living room. The Passive 50 employs an off-center tweeter design, so the speakers are sold in mirror image pair. It's a two-way design with a 1-inch titanium dome tweeter, a 6.5-inch paper cone woofer, and an 8-inch passive radiator. These drivers are new designs from PSB and contain some new advancements. The tweeter has ferrofluid damping and a, I can't pronounce this, neodymium magnet, and it's surrounded by a felt pad to minimize edge diffraction. The woofer and passive radiator have cast aluminum baskets that add rigidity to the overall construction and reduce distortion. Around back, you get 5-way binding posts to accommodate bi-wiring or bi-amping. Out of the box, these dual binding posts are connected with dual metal jumpers. The cabinet of the Passive 50 is well braced and finished in an open grain walnut veneer. They also come with magnetically attached cream-colored woven cloth grills. The grills really complement the retro look of these speakers. The grill also has like an old school PSB 50th anniversary pull tab on the bottom of the grill and helps you take off the grill. Recommended power is 30 to 200 watts. This has an impedance of 6 ohms and a sensitivity of 89 decibels. These retail for $24.99 US a pair. In his review, Yonki used like some really nice expensive gear like Belcanto amps and a Michi X3. I don't have any of that on hand. I paired it with the Cambridge Audio CXA81, my long-term loaner, paired up with the Alva TT V2 turntable. In his review, Yonki used Dinah Krall, Tom Jones, and Lizzo as his source music. No shade, I'm just not going to in this review. Just looking at these speakers makes me want to run vinyl. Like, it just looks like an old school vintage speaker that I want to run vinyl through, and that's exactly what I did. These speakers are designed to look retro, but they definitely don't sound retro. In his review, he mentioned that with the speakers towed in, there was a hint of brightness to it. And maybe my hearing's horrible, but I don't hear it as being too bright. But I also will note that a lot of old vinyl, especially my old hip-hop vinyl, isn't always pressed the best. And when it comes to albums on 33, everything kind of sounds a little flatter. But I did notice that having them towed in towards my listening position, just kind of like on a slight angle pointed towards me, that it felt like I was more part of the music versus having them just kind of flat against the walls. Where I was able to mitigate a bit of that brightness was when I switched amplifiers and I connected the SU-GX70 from Techniques. It's a 40 watt per channel integrated amplifier. I found that it didn't strain at all connected to these speakers. I was able to just turn down the treble a touch and then plump the bass a little bit, which is something I like to do with most amplifiers. And it was a really good pairing. In his review, Yonki mentioned that like there was enough usable bass down to 50 hertz, and not going to disagree. There's ample bass weight there. But for my purposes, definitely connecting the B&W 610 to just sort of fill in that lower regions helps for a lot of the music that I listen to. Specifically, playing Low Flying from Bungle that I heard on Doc Scott's radio show Future Beats. That track slammed through these speakers definitely needs a subwoofer. It's just a ton of bass there, a lot of energy. And the snares and the highs do definitely get a little rowdier as you turn up the volume on the Technique. So being able to just dial it back a little bit, really, really beneficial for that track. I did play that track via Spotify through the Techniques because that is a streaming amplifier and I don't have that track on vinyl. I don't even know if it comes on vinyl, but if it did, I most likely missed the purchase window. I love everything Bungle makes. I wish I could have all of his music on vinyl. Just saying. For me, speaker grills are more function than form. Like I only ever use them for covering up my speakers so my kids don't get at them. Like they drew all over my Yamaha HS8s, like all over the woofers with crayon and pencil crayon and permanent marker. And those look like garbage now and I hate having them out. But for the Passif 50, the speaker grills look amazing. And sometimes I'm inclined to just leave them on because the speakers look so good with them on. And then when you take them off, the speakers have a completely different appearance and they still look really good. I would say they do sound better with the grills off for sure, but in a pinch, just cranking some tunes out if I don't take the grills off, and especially if I'm listening off axis, like I'm in the kitchen or just around the house, that having them on doesn't really change the sound too much off axis anyway. And when I'm sitting down in front of the speakers, it's not like the speaker grills muffle the sound in any way. I just found that things like vocals and the highs were a little clearer with the grills off. That being said, like if you had an amp without tone controls and you want to mitigate the highs, just stick the grills on. There are a whole wave of retro speakers out now, and a lot of the retro speakers are not cheap. And at $24.99, this is a pair of speakers that, while not cheap, delivers a hell of a lot of performance as well as beautiful aesthetics for your living room. So I can wholly recommend these, and I can only imagine what they sound like with like a Michi X3 integrated. Maybe one day I'll be able to hear an X3 for myself. Rotel? I really enjoyed my time with these speakers. I think they're really beautifully made. They sound amazing. At $24.99, these speakers are a pair that you can live with for a very, very long time without the need to ever upgrade. So I mentioned hip hop records, and rather than just like talk about them, talking head style, although that's kind of what I'm doing right now, I'm just going to show them to you. How about that? So first and foremost, Shook Ones Part 2, Mobb Deep. Great record. This is actually 12-inch. Yay. Yeah, I treat my records like crap. This one's actually in pretty good condition. P-Rock Seal Smooth, Mecca and the Soul Brother. One of my favorite albums ever. To be honest, I didn't buy this on vinyl when I was in high school. I bought this on cassette. Yeah, you can carbon date me later. I don't know if I can call this best of all time or anything, but for me, this is one of my favorite tracks. Check it out. Grand Poobah, Mary J. Blige. I don't know. I just love this record. It's not like some groundbreaking production. It's just like it's a really good tune, and I really liked it. Another record that I bought on cassette first and then just picked up the vinyl later was this, Beat Nuts, Intoxicated Demons. I mean, I gotta be honest, the vinyl copy for this kind of sucks. It's like, it's a short album on one piece of vinyl. It's not great, but I love this album. Oh, this one for sure. Dilla, Welcome to Detroit. Great record. I played this a lot when I was doing the Wharfdale Evo 4.2 review, and I don't think I mentioned it at all, but it was one of the records I put on a lot, especially Think Twice. That sounded really good on the Evo 4.2s, and it sounds exceptional on these. If you're going to take a recommend of anything, Think Twice, PSBs. Here's another one, 3 Feet High and Rising. I finally picked this up on vinyl. I never actually owned it on vinyl. I actually only ever owned it on cassette. I think it came out, I think I was in like grade 6 or 7 when this one came out. It's a little bit different. I mean, I guess they couldn't get everything cleared, but it's for the most part intact on here. I wish I picked this up on vinyl when I was younger, but I had no job. I was in grade 6. I don't know, how old was I? I was a minor, so yeah, I couldn't afford this. DJ Crush Miyazo, or is that how you pronounce it? Miyazo? It's got Black Thought on the vocals. It's a dope track. I really liked it. As for non-hip-hop selections, here's one. This is a few years old now, but Break, Resistance, there's a track called, oh my God, what's it called? Slow Down. And I believe it's 1 track per side, 45 RPM, super loud, super tight, awesome production. I have this on CD as well because CD came packaged with this, and I've been playing that in some of the reviews. But yeah, definitely this on this sounds awesome, but you definitely need a sub just to enjoy this one. So that's when the 610 from Bowers and Wilkins came in handy. I bought this entire album for one song. It's Marcus Intellects and St. Files or ST Files, a 305. Love this tune. I'm not going to try to describe it. It's a drum and bass song. Just exceptional song. And it was worth splurging for this one album for one song. I don't think I've actually played any of the other songs on this. Maybe I will one day. I really have to take better care of this piece of vinyl. This is, I can't even pronounce this. This is local. It's Gremlins. It's Moana. This might be one of my favorite songs. I find myself just pulling this out as much as I pull out like old Photech records and when I'm mixing records for fun. It kind of just goes with everything. Super dark. Sounds really good. Yeah. I think I should get a paper sleeve for this. But yeah, this on this is magic.